1. Yo. What's going on? Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode. Let's turn the microphone down to the Razorback, or the PTN Daily. Working title, because it's not every day. It's going to be 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same time every single day. Thank you guys so much for being here. So, yeah. No more PMs, no more, you guys eating your dinner. I've had people tell me, I'm eating my dinner and watching you, Ty. Now you're just going to have the show. You can pause it. You can kind of, you can do your own thing, keep up with chat on your own time. You could do your own thing and check out the show later on. For those of you who aren't able to be here live, for those of you who are here live, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. It is Monday, I know, but it's Game Week Monday, baby. Does it get any better than this? It feels like Christmas Eve, except you get 5 days of Christmas Eve. And for the show, it's like Christmas Eve day 1. We'll have Christmas Eve day 2 on Wednesday, and then Friday, which Friday will be the Rice breakdown. Wednesday, we'll probably do a little bit more of a recap on just where they're at throughout the week. My goal is to, Sam Pittman will talk to the media today. I want to say 1 p.m. I could be wrong. He's kind of switched that. He switched that up during fall camp. Like, for a while it was, because they wanted to do that last week. They wanted to do morning workouts, get the guys kind of acclimated to the possible 11 a.m. kickoffs. So they kind of switched back and forth. And that's why you got those uploads from all the different media outlets at inconsistent times, because I was right there with you. I like to listen to that stuff in my car ride when I go pick the kids up from school. I like to listen to the content, and I'm like, where's the content at? And when they went early, it was like, the content's already there. I've got something to watch. Josh Weaver, I've got my microphone once again. It's growing mustache hairs there. Josh Weaver with the super chat. I know my donation won't exactly pay the electric bill, but congrats on going full time. Tyzilla Woo Pig. Josh, I do appreciate that, man. A lot of, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've been thinking about doing this for almost a year, especially, with COVID last year, it really kind of got in the way of things. But I've been thinking about doing this even back when I was on another show. So this has been something I've wanted to do for a long time. We do have hopefully we'll have some news as far as sponsors by the end of the week. I'm supposed to talk to some people today, as a matter of fact. I'm really looking forward to what's going on there. Hopefully things come through. If not, this is going to be a work in progress. If you know anybody, local business owners, I don't care if you're in Little Rock, if you're in South Arkansas, if you're down in the Delta, if you're in Northeast Arkansas, if you're right here in NWA. If you know someone, runs a business, they're Hawk fans, they want to reach a local crowd, hey, tell them you need to go advertise with Ty over on the Pig Trail Network YouTube channel. You guys like you like the red box here? Woo, check that out. You got the Patreon. I'm trying to do this adequately here. Right there. There we go. Patreon, right? The links provided for you down below in the description box. If you guys want to join Patreon, it's a minimum of $4 a month. You share the content, subscribe if you haven't already, and smack the hell out of that like button. Smack it like it was talking trash, like it was a Texas Longhorn fan talking trash. You got to smack it around a little bit. Just don't be as angry with it. You guys I appreciate that you guys liked that intro. That was something, I'm not kidding you. It took me I put it together this morning, and I was like, wow, it would be cool if we could come in with just some previous shots or something. Did you guys see the first one? If you remember, and I know the caption was there, but it was from the Elite Eight when Arkansas. I was driving home from my wife and I were driving home from Florida with our kids in the back of the car, and we just so happened. My wife was patient enough, God bless her heart, she was patient enough to deal with me during all that. Me trying to watch the game on the phone as I'm riding, in the passenger seat, all the emotions. And then I'm like, you got to pull over. I got to do the live. There's no way I can miss this. The first time we've been to the Elite Eight since the late 90s. I cannot miss this. So God bless Sarah, my wife. She's awesome. Thank you for putting up with me, Sarah, if you're watching this. Congratulations, Ty. Another super chat from Mr. T-Dub. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Really do. Today's show, what we're doing, I'm giving you guys, you've asked me for like 4 months every time I go live. Ty, how many wins? What are we doing? What are we doing, Ty? What's going on? We need your picks, Ty. I have it. It's settled. I have my list. And I went back and forth. I'm not going to lie to you guys. At one point during the off season, I before fall camp, wasn't really sure. But I had a pretty good idea, but I still was I was going back and forth a little bit. And I do have a sheet or well, I'll show you here when I'm done with my picks. It'll have all the games picked out for you. No, we need Texas to win if we want game day here. I do not think game day comes here. I just don't. I think they're going to go to the Army-Navy 9/11 game, 20-year anniversary. I just don't see them coming here. If things were different, if Arkansas was coming off a great 2020 campaign and maybe then possibly, but I think there's still a lot of doubt in the air about what Sam Pittman can do year 2 at Arkansas, how limited he is, at least in their eyes, right? When you talk about talent, you look at you look at kind of the issues they have going on. For example, linebacker depth, right? Defensive line. I've been very vocal about my skepticism of the defensive line, even though I think they're going to be much improved from the last 4 years. I think they're going to be much improved this year, but there's still a lot of questions. And then the biggest being KJ Jefferson, the quarterback position. I think if that was settled, if we knew, let's say Felipe Franks didn't transfer in, KJ was the guy last year, and he looked great, there's something to be excited about. Maybe then you could get game day here. I have a hard time seeing it. Again, you're talking about at that point, let's say you win 6 games a year ago. Or let's just even say, let's say you finish 5-5. You finish 500 with arguably one of the toughest schedules in college football history. And then you're probably ranked coming into this year, maybe, right? Good morning, you sexy B word. I appreciate that, Azazian. Hope you're doing well, man. Let me scroll up here, get caught up on chat. Now, remember, this will be an hour long. I got to keep my eye on the clock. So we're going to be an hour. It might go a little over. It might come up a little short, but that's our time frame that we're working with. So, Ty got a new intro snazzy. I appreciate that, Anthony. Thank you, man. John Hawes, yo. Let's go. Skipped work just to be here. Alex, don't get in trouble on account of me, man. Plug in the Bluetooth headphones. I don't know where you work, but Grant Patrick says we're not losing to Texas. I'm guessing it'll be a 6-6 prediction. Grant, you're in for a surprise. You're in for a little bit of you're in for a surprise. Yeah. All right. So, CBS is going to be the Army-Navy game, so game day could choose. So, also, by the way, that doesn't mean that game day won't be there. Game day has been at places where CBS or whoever else, because there's a difference in having rights to filming the game and then being there on campus and filming your show. They still have to have permission from the university, right? And I'm sure the NCAA plays a role in there too. But no, they can be there where someone else is showing the game. So that doesn't matter. I mean, people seem to think that matters. It doesn't. They can absolutely still have game day be on campus for game day. My guess is Arkansas, Texas will be with the SEC guys. That'll be my guess. Mike and Mary Hogger 2-0 start. It's Arkansas. We get no love, says Big Man Ross. Yeah. Here for a surprise on 6-6 is Ty drinking the Kool-Aid. Alex, am I drinking the Kool-Aid? Or maybe the Kool-Aid turned a little sour. Maybe that's what I'm about to give you. Love the intro, bro. It really ties the room together, man. Love the quote-unquote the dude. All right. I appreciate that, Mr. Bloodline. Do me a favor, again, if you guys haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Share the content. I mean, you see it there. It's laid out before you there. Check out the Patreon. That will be updated next week. We'll have maybe some changes on the Patreon if you guys want to join. Again, the link is provided for you down below. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to be a part of a monthly thing, even if it's just $4 a month, but you want to throw a little tip in the old tip jar, there's a PayPal for you as well. There's a link. Or is he saying 8 and 4? Okay, let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Now remember, I'm not doing in-depth breakdowns for a multitude of different reasons. Number one, it changes week to week, right? So now I could sit here and tell you, yeah, okay, Arkansas starts off the year 4-0, right? But clearly, if they don't look very polished at all against Rice, even if it's rust, even if it's game one after a long offseason or what feels like, we know it's been a long, hot offseason. If they're crappy against Rice, if they lose to Rice, obviously that changes the entire thing. So week to week, it'll be different. Remember, this is preseason. This is a preseason guesstimation, right? I mean, that's all it is. I haven't been right on the season for a while, so I'll just say that. I think I came close the first year I started doing PTN. I think I got close that year. I think I might have been off by a game or two. Joe with the $5 super chat. What I don't understand is how could we have so many injured players despite not playing since December 12th? You'd think 38 bye weeks would ensure health. I mean, spring camp, you had guys getting banged up. You had Bumper Pool coming off broken ribs from since Mississippi State last year, but he's had time to heal up. But I mean, you know, you talk about how much that may have hampered him back in the spring, because he even said it himself all year. He was never 100%, despite being 20 tackles against Mississippi State, despite being an all-conference player. What was he, third team all-conference or whatever? And then you go to spring, guys are playing a little banged up. AJ Green and not AJ Green, sorry, he wasn't here. He was running track. Raheem Sanders had an ankle sprain. You know, myself and some others were talking about how he just didn't look like he had that same burst. We thought it had something to do with the weight gain. No, he was running with a sprained ankle and still had at least one decent run during spring. And then you have fall camp, right? Guys get hurt. That's just how it is. You know, and you cannot, when people are skeptical of contact during fall camp, you have to remember, go back to Felix Jones, 2006, opening up against USC. I remember not going too physical with Felix Jones. I remember that being in the media, that being on the message boards. People were upset that they were maybe going too physical or not physical enough or whatever, but the case was, and a lot of the media felt like they weren't going physical enough. There wasn't enough contact. What did Felix Jones do against USC? He put the ball on the turf 20 times. I was at that damn game. I was there when they were chanting to put Mitch Mustain in the fourth quarter. My friend Duke and I were there. So, yeah, that's, you know, you got to be physical. I agree. You've got to be physical, but you also still have to be smart about it. Tie your Patreon, share sub. Like doesn't come through in high res enough for mobile, bro. PC looks fine. Mobile, no, I don't know. I was sampling it for this one, Mr. Bloodline, so it probably won't stay there. It's probably not going to stay there. I was just kind of a sample playing around with it. So if you can't see it on your mobile phones, there is a red, I call it the red wall, and it's got Patreon, share, sub, and like. Okay, listening to the players being interviewed doesn't seem like they really enjoy being around each other. I don't know, Mark. That's news to me. I know they're in full support of KJ Jefferson. They've named him a team captain along with some other guys. All right, let's do it. Let's go. Ding ding. I wanted to start about this time about breaking this thing down. All right. Week 1, Rice. You guys, this should be fairly obvious. Of course, taking Arkansas with the dub here. There are some things to consider about Rice, and again, we're going to go into further detail about those guys on Friday. So I'd try. Remember, this is uninterrupted. It's an hour long. I can't give away all the the everything that I want to say about Rice, but there are some things to keep an eye on. Their offense, based on what little I've seen from a year ago, I think they changed their offensive coordinator. They're going to have they're going to run a little bit different system. I think they're going to try and implement more of a West Coast style of offense, but also they're not afraid to run 2 tight ends, try to control the pace of the game, very similar to what Brett Bielema wanted to do at Arkansas. They want to hit you with the run. And it's going to be a good test for Arkansas. So, and also, by the way, Ridgeway, I don't know how many of you, I thought I saw someone talking about it in chat, but Ridgeway is in the hospital. I think he's getting his appendix taken out. So he may be out. I don't really know much about the recovery time from that. Sounds like it could be a week, could be 2 weeks. I don't know. That's something to keep an eye on. Ridgeway was someone I liked what I was hearing about Ridgeway through fall camp. So they're going to be without Ridgeway. So that's going to leave the rest of those guys up front. Well, that's going to be a guy who is rotating in with the 2s. That's going to be a depth guy that you're not going to have up against Rice, who's returning a little bit of experience. Despite, and it's hard to argue. It's hard to really talk much about, how much experience the team has when they played so few games a year ago. But Rice, I'm taking the dub. Okay. Again, score I'll give you guys on Friday. I think right now they're, a 19-point favorite, 18-point favorite, something like that, Arkansas is. I'll tell you what I think about the spread on Friday. All right, Texas. Okay. This is where it gets tricky. I know we've got this situation with their quarterback. They got a new coach in Sarkisian. Hudson Card has actually been named their starting quarterback. Pretty young, next to zero experience, but was, of course, going to Texas. He was highly touted out of high school. The question's going to be whether or not how he handles Odom's defense, if he can identify coverage. We know that Odom's pretty damn good at disguising coverage. But it's also, I think Arkansas's defense is going to be better. I think they're amped for this game. I don't buy that Brett Bielema was installing Georgia or was really taking a hard look at Georgia Southern. I'm not saying they didn't pull up film and watch it. I kind of feel like they concentrated primarily on Rice and Texas. This is his biggest game of his career. At that point, through 12 games that he's coached, it is the biggest game of his career. It's year 2. No more excuses about COVID. No more excuses about being new, being a new head coach. You've got both your returning offensive and defensive coordinators. Yeah, you had some position guys leave. You had your offensive line coach leave. That honestly, that's something we need to keep an eye on is the offensive line, how they respond to the change there, actually seeing it on the field. But this is his biggest game of his career as a head coach so far. Because if you lose it, you don't lose all the momentum as long as you don't get blown out of the water. Let's say you lose something like, 35-30, 35-28. You hung in there. You fought, right? It was a hard-fought 4-quarter game where you didn't take a single quarter off. All right, okay, we lost. At least we put up a fight against a Power 5 non-con opponent. Then you've got Georgia Southern coming up next. Now, is Georgia Southern a trap game? It very well could be, but regardless, Arkansas, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, that's a win. But Texas, for me, is a coin flip. Leaning, and coin flips are – it is what it is. Like I think it could go either way right now, but I'm leaning – it's a coin flip leaning to the Arkansas Razorbacks. I have Arkansas officially as a win against the Texas Longhorns. Now, 8 weeks ago, I was coin flip towards Texas because of Sarkisian. But the more, when you think about how late it took them to find their quarterback, there are some holes. There are some things that Texas fans are worried about on both sides of the ball a little bit. I mean, who doesn't? But we know they're Texas. We know Sarkisian, who has an experience as an SEC offensive coordinator and as a head coach at USC. But I think it winds up one of 3 ways. Arkansas wins close, Arkansas loses close, or Arkansas gets blown out. Those are the 3 scenarios I see happening. I don't see Arkansas blowing Texas out just simply because of the amount amount of talent that they have in Sarkisian. I'm a pretty big Sarkisian fan. And again, I could be wrong. Arkansas could walk in. This is Fayetteville. If they're at capacity, if they're at 75,000+ people, which if Texas is 1-0 and Arkansas is 1-0 and Arkansas blew the freaking doors off the hinges against Rice and Texas blew up a really good week 1 opponent and you've got all this hype around this game, all of a sudden the electricity. Have you guys ever been to Fayetteville in a big game scenario? Holy crap. It is electric. You could talk about Little Rock all you want. It's electric because of that being a bowl. And Little Rock is electric, no doubt about that. But Fayetteville is it's a powder keg. You could feel the electricity in the air when it's a big game on the line. It's crazy. You know, the crowd is in on every single play on both sides of the ball. So I've been to a lot of games in Little Rock, Fayetteville, and Little Rock is really damn loud. But Fayetteville, do not underestimate. So that's going to be a question for Hudson Card, this young quarterback. And I think that's why I'm kind of giving Arkansas the advantage. Obviously, there's a lot of questions still for KJ Jefferson, what Arkansas is doing on the line of scrimmage. Your on paper talent, you're one of the bottom 4 teams in the SEC in terms of on paper talent along the defensive line. It's getting better. I think they've got some guys they can develop into real studs on the defensive line. But that's my 2 big questions in that game. For every big game is Arkansas quarterback situation and the defensive line. So right there, I've got you at 3-0 with Arkansas against Rice, Texas, and Georgia Southern. A&M, this is where it gets tricky for me. A&M, I've got a lot of questions about them, but right now I've got that as a coin flip leaning in their favor. It's hard for me, and that sucks. That sucks because I want to beat A&M so bad, but Jimbo Fisher seems to have those guys. That train is moving in a pretty good direction. I mean, there are people, not that this influenced my decision, but there are people in the media who really believe A&M could be the team to beat and finish something like 11-1 and 12-0. Let's not forget about what they did a year ago. They themselves had a pretty tough schedule. And you saw what they did a year ago. I thought A&M's quarterback situation was vanilla. A&M fans tend to think they're better at that position. Georgia, obviously a loss. Okay, so right there, Rice a win, Texas a win, Georgia Southern a win, but then you've got back-to-back losses to A&M and Georgia. That's on the road against Georgia. At Ole Miss is a coin flip leaning to Arkansas. I do not buy into the Ole Miss hype. Offensively, they're great. There's no doubt. Ole Miss on offense, they're going to rack up. They're going to put up crazy numbers on offense. Their defense is one of the worst in the country across the board. They were wildly inconsistent on defense. Their quarterback has a tendency to not be smart with the ball. The only reason why I even make this a coin flip is because it's on the road. This is going to be a big game. This is going to be a big game for Arkansas because it's trying to avoid the 3-game losing streak, and for Ole Miss, it's redemption against Arkansas. And anytime Arkansas and Ole Miss plays down in Oxford, I think Ole Miss fans will show up for that. But I have it noted here, might be too much hype around these guys. Their only significant win last year really was against Indiana in their bowl game. On paper, they were the worst defense across the board. That's my skepticism of Ole Miss. I know Arkansas defensively wasn't much better statistically. They weren't. But you go back to the first 5 games of the season when they were mostly healthy, even with Bumper Pool playing with the broken ribs, with Morgan who's playing in a body cast, pretty much that long arm cast that he had on. Eventually, the durability thing, not being able to develop the back end of the defense, the 2s and the 3s on the depth chart, really came back to bite Arkansas in the rear. And we know that they were especially lacking, and still are lacking depth at the linebacker position. I feel like the secondary they just weren't polished. They were, obviously, you go back to Ole Miss, you go back to Mississippi State, secondary held their own in several games, but they just weren't polished. They didn't have time to get polished. They didn't have spring camp. Their summer was pretty much it was interrupted, and then you finally were getting everything installed during fall camp. So you were already behind the gun a little bit there, right? And that's hard to do in Odom now. I think it's all about Odom and how great of a defensive coordinator he is. So I think they're going to be ready to go. It is a coin flip for Ole Miss. and Arkansas, but I'm leaning towards it being an Arkansas win. And that's a big one. That's a big one. Then you come back home against Auburn. Boy, they've got some sounds like they're already kind of falling apart. If I'm an Auburn YouTuber, I don't know that I'm riding on the Tigers. Like, I'm not taking them real high. Like, I'm not super stoked about what I've been hearing. Bo Nix is clearly, I just think he's an inconsistent quarterback. Last year, I thought, I think he has it in him to be great. I do think he has a high ceiling. We just haven't seen it. I do like Tank Bigsby, arguably the best back in the SEC. They're returning 16 starters from a year ago. That's enough to give me pause. Coin flip Arkansas. Coin flip Arkansas. That's where I'm at with Auburn. I think that's a win. Arkansas Pine Bluff, win. Mississippi State, win. Not sold on, I don't know. My opinion really changed on Leach. Now, you can't let that distract you from the fact that he is a proven elite play caller with that air raid offense. They could shock everybody. Maybe what happened against LSU was just a small sample of what's to come. Not that LSU was great last year. But yeah, who knows? But I don't even have it as a coin flip right now. I think Arkansas wins that one outright. LSU on the road, loss. Coin flip to LSU. Quarterback situation is definitely worth keeping an eye on, but it sounds like LSU fans are pretty confident in whoever takes over at the position. LSU last year was one of the better passing offenses in the country. I think they're going to get their ground game established. I know they've got a lot of off-the-field drama, all this stuff surrounding Ed Orgeron. We'll see if that's a distraction for them. But I think right now they have the ponies. They have the studs. Right, they've got them. I mean, there's no doubt it's LSU. They are a top 10, top 8 recruiting class just about every year. Bama obviously is going to be a loss for me. Clearly not even a coin flip. Mizzou. All right, this is it. Do the Hogs finish with 7 or 8 wins? I'm taking 8 wins for the Razorbacks in 2021. That's where I'm at, baby. I'm bought in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. You know why I'm drinking the Kool-Aid? I'll tell you why. This team a year ago, new head coach, new offensive system, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, lacking depth at the linebacker position, not having a spring camp, all the interruptions, all the distractions, and yet the product they put on the field a year ago was good enough to win 6 games. They led at halftime against Georgia, and it took Georgia nearly going into the fourth quarter to finally take control of this game. Georgia, who with Kirby Smart has been spectacular. Now maybe Bulldog fans want more. Maybe they want that Nick Saban-esque type of consistency. They want to win. They want to win the SEC championship. Maybe this year's their year. I don't know. But you go back to that game. That game changed everything for me. Watching them, the product on the field for the Razorbacks was so much better. It was so much better. It was like this is like we went from the cheap ass Walgreens product, right? Like their byproduct, their nonsense crap that's not as good as like the Walmart. But now we've gone from cheap to a far superior product on the field than what we've had for the last 3 or 4 years. You finally have something in your hand. I could piss some people off and say it's like going to an Apple phone from a Samsung phone, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. But it's like you've got a better product on the field. I know, Samsung, you're open source. You don't have to unlock your phones. I get it, but I just feel like the intuitiveness of the Apple iPhone product is it's there. It's great. That's what Arkansas's product on the field. It was like going from something. I tell you what, I'll do you a favor. Not Samsung. Samsung's a great phone. You went from like a BlackBerry for the last 3 years to an Apple or Samsung product. There. I hope maybe now we can all get along. Nobody owns a BlackBerry. You went from a crap shit product on the field to one that actually seemed cohesive. Should have beaten LSU. We know Auburn, that was a win for the Razorbacks. That was a win. That's 2 games right there. Missouri, you had a backup redshirt freshman quarterback rip Mizzou apart. Had the defense been able to keep the offense on the field just a little longer, had a couple of calls go their way. Think about it. Had Catalan not been ejected in a game, had Bumper Pool not been, maybe had he been at least as close to 100% as he could have been, had Grant Morgan not been restricted last year to a damn body cast, and I know that's the grind of college football. I get it, but these are still things, right? These are variables to the equation that is the 2020 season on top of COVID. The product on the field, they should have won 6 games. You're going to sit here and tell me that, you can't buy into 8 wins, Ty. You're not supposed to do that. That's crazy. I'm telling you right now, all these games on this list, there's only 2. Only 2 that I think are completely out of the just no chance. And that's obviously, for me, it's Alabama and Georgia. I think A&M is a coin flip. I've got A&M winning that game, but it's a coin flip. They played A&M pretty decent last year. Not great, but played them pretty decent. I don't think I'm crazy. And that's not drinking the Kool-Aid. That's just what I saw on the field last year. The product on the field was so much better. Think about the narrative this year. Had things gone the way they were supposed to last year and they win 6 games. Okay, then you add Utsi, you add Trey Williams, you add Ridgeway, who hopefully will be ready to go. You look at Raheem Sanders, who's on the heels of Traylon Smith, the guy who ran for over 5 yards a carry. KJ Jefferson, I know there's a lot of skepticism. Obviously, if I've got the Hogs at 8-4, it's because I believe KJ can be the guy. I think he's got a high ceiling. Go back to the Mizzou game. Go back to both of his. I was at his the second spring scrimmage that was not aired on TV. Wasn't great. He wasn't super polished, but you saw how much he worked from that scrimmage to then the red-white scrimmage that we all got to see. Go back and watch that. You could clearly see this guy is dialed in. And they're holding him back a little bit through fall camp. I think, too, it's hard to really see KJ's skill set on it's hard to see that in a scrimmage setting, in a practice setting. It's hard to do. And I'll tell you what else I'm bought into. I'm bought into Malik Hornsby and whatever package they want to put him on the field with. I'm all about it. Don't get me wrong. I would hate to see KJ Jefferson drive the field 99 yards and then put in Malik Hornsby for some whatever package. I hate to see that. But I don't have a problem with the package that they want to work with Malik Hornsby, tailor-made to his skill set. That guy can take up 10 to 15 yards like that. I'm bought in. I've got Arkansas at 8-4, and I think I don't know if they blow out Rice. They could come out a little rusty, but that Texas game is going to tell us a lot. And Rice is going to be a challenge too. Although one of Rice's best defensive players, maybe the best player on their team a year ago, transferred out. But I'm bought in. What are you guys at? I want to know. I'm gonna take a second here. I'm gonna read chat and get caught up. Yes, drink it, baby. Let me scroll up here. Yeah, let's get the likes up, huh? Let's get the likes. Let me scroll up. I got a little ways to go here. All right, Joe. Okay, Joe was the last super chat here. Wingate says W's are Rice, Texas, Georgia Southern, UAPB, Ole Miss, Auburn, Mississippi State, Mizzou. I didn't bring water in here, but now I'm famished. Drink the Kool-Aid. Don't be afraid. It's okay to drink it, right? Once it hits the lips, it's fantastic. Mr. T-Dub says, could be the most clueless man in the room if you actually watch the interviews in context. Listen, Mark Douglas is a good dude. I like Mark Douglas. But I don't get that vibe at all from them. It feels to me like they've got work to do and they know it. Bielema looked great. They did. They got a win. They beat Nebraska. Ty just said Bielema wasn't looking forward to Georgia Southern. I did. Hey, when you get going, look, you're gonna have some mistakes along the way. Once the juices start flowing, okay. Frost's seat has got to be on fire in Nebraska. Losing to a year one Brett Bielema coached Illinois' team is a little embarrassing. Chad Moose ruined Bo Nix last year, and I think there could be something to that as well. Homecoming game against Auburn, says B. LSU has got a ton of talent, says J.R. Shelton. I'm starting to wonder if we're all overlooking LSU a little bit. LSU's run defense is going to get tested week 1 without a doubt. UCLA ran the hell out of the ball on Saturday. Kool-Aid hitting different this year, says David Lawrence. So much better with practically the same dudes. And here's the other reason. All right? Here's another reason why I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. 23 seniors, 11 super seniors. How many returning starters? And even the guys who are returning starters who may not start this year are getting replaced by better talent. You know, and you look at what happened with Dalton Wagner at the end of fall camp. He got a little banged up. Tykees Crawford. I've been telling you guys, I'm real high on Tykees Crawford. I think he's got NFL draft written all over him so long as he stays in his lane and does his thing and remains coachable, right? I think now you have quality depth on certain areas. The secondary, I don't know. They could, they might be, if they lose one guy, maybe it all kind of starts to, unpin a little bit. But I don't think so. I love what's going on with the secondary. Devin Bush fighting his way into the 2 deep. I think that says a lot. Devin Bush, highly recruited out of high school, picked the Hogs, was in the transfer portal, like a year later, really seemed like they could lose him, and he's here, and he's worked his way into the 2 deep. Now, does he stay there? I don't know, right? There's still a lot of questions there. Compared to the last few years, I'm happy with any winning record, says Big Man Ross. Tyler G says, drink it, baby. Drink the Kool-Aid. It's okay. I promise you it's okay. And if I'm wrong, I'll be here and I'll admit it. I was wrong. And this isn't me trying to hype up anything. This is me, what I've seen on film. I went to both the last 2 scrimmages, been watching a lot of film from a year ago or watching some games, especially the Mizzou game because that's where we saw KJ. I like where they're projected. I like the steps that they're taking. I love the direction this program is headed in football. I'm not saying they're going to go on an Eric Musselman-like year 2 run here where they surprise everyone and find a way to make a big-time bowl game. But 8-win is a pretty significant step. That's more than double the wins you had last year. Granted, you're playing 12 games as opposed to 10 a year ago. I love the experience coming back. I love the improvement that I feel like they've had along the way since last season. I love that they finally got that full, uninterrupted offseason, and now we could see this staff get to work. The question is, if they do go 8-4, can Sam Pittman build off of that moving forward? You know, this recruiting period, even though you still have a ways to go till December and February, it feels like you could start to see the shift going to the 2023 guys a little bit. They've still got some spots to fill recruiting-wise, but Sam's going to have to build if he manages to win 6, 7, 8 games. And by the way, 6 games is vast improvement. It's vast improvement. It's not only is it bowl game talk, but that means you had to win a couple of games there along the way that nobody expected you to win. I think they win several games that nobody expects them to win. I think Arkansas, they're sleepers in the sense that, you know, the way people have viewed the Razorbacks the last 4 years. And again, that could be the case. That could be the case. It could be more of the same. I'm not saying that that's out of the possibilities. It certainly is. It could be all, I don't know. It all could fall apart. KJ may not be the guy. And I'm going to tell you, that's where it hinges on is KJ. You cannot have a swinging door situation at the quarterback spot and expect to win 6, 7, 8 games. You just can't do it. Ole Miss is the most overrated team in the SEC. I agree with that, Wingates. I agree. William Allen, I could see 7 wins with your outlook. Maybe possibly 8, but I definitely could see 7. Like you said, we had 6 wins last year. Why not improve 1 or 2 wins? I say go for it. Mark Douglas says you're misreading my posts. You are misreading posts. Wear your glasses. Oh, okay. Mark, was I not just in here defending you, my man? What's going on, man? It's gonna be okay, I promise. I see Hornsby taking the helm early in all the non-con games, preparing him for the lead role next year. It could happen. I think his skill set. He's a faster. He's a faster option, right? I mean, again, this guy can just flat out. would not surprise me at all if he has 4.4 speed. It would not shock me at all. And listen, even 4.5, 4.6 is moving for a quarterback. I think sometimes people kind of they don't understand how that works. 40 time for a receiver is looked at differently when you've got a quarterback who's running these 4.6s and 4.5s. But I think he might be a step beyond that. He might be 4.4, somewhere in that area. He is fast and takes up a lot of ground quick. We know that through fall camp he was thrown into double coverage. He's been throwing what I saw in spring camp, he was throwing into double coverage at the scrimmages, both the scrimmages. He has confidence in his arm. He hesitates a little bit, but we know with his athleticism, he can roll out of the pocket and make people miss and just take off. And I have a feeling in some scenarios, whether they're RPO reads, whatever he's doing, I think you're going to see a little bit of that if he's on the field for an extended amount of time, which he's probably going to be. KJ, I think, is a little injury prone. Malik's got to be ready to go. One way or another, I think we do see Malik, and probably a little more than a lot of people think. Not because KJ's a bad quarterback. That could be it. KJ might just not be ready to be the guy week to week, but although the evidence that I have says otherwise against Mizzou. Again, I hate to bring that up over and over like a broken record here, but that's the only evidence we have, and he passed the eye test from a year ago. When you're talking about 2020 moving forward to 2021, he passed the eye test and looked good through spring camp, and as I understand it, was sharp there in fall camp through most of it. Did have some scrimmages, or had a scrimmage where he's kind of so-so. Had a couple of practices where Sam Pittman said he could have been better, but it wasn't his worst day. It wasn't his best day. I think he had a couple of those. I don't know of a quarterback who had a flawless offseason at Arkansas, whether it was Tyler Wilson, Ryan Mallett, go back to Clint Sterner, or more recently Brandon Allen. Everyone has their ebbs and flows. Everyone has their great moments and their not so great moments. But Malik better be ready to go. That's all I got to say. Malik better be ready to go. But I think with what they have to work with on offense, there's so many different things that we could possibly see this year. And that was another thing. We didn't even get to see the full Kendall Briles playbook. We're going to get that this year. Hopefully better play calling. I'll admit there were times where I thought his play calling could have been a little bit better. For the defense to be better, they must get more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you for saying this. They've been horrible. All right? Outside of Jonathan Marshall last year, how many sacks did this team have? Well, how many sacks did Marshall have a year ago? What has happened to this defensive line? I can remember a time when they were pushing out. You go back to Carlos Hall all the way back to the day. You fast forward to guys like Jake Beckett, Chris Smith, Flowers, Dietrich Wise. Like, you were at least every other couple of years, you had a decent pass rush. The last 3-4 years, they've been terrible. Their line of scrimmage play. It all goes back to line of scrimmage play. The last 3 or 4 years, it's been horrible. And you're going to sit here and tell me, and I've got someone who, I hate to keep bringing that up, got someone, Ty, your pessimism is unwarranted. What the hell are you smoking? What are you talking about? Show me. I want to see in 2021 the pass rush be what I've got people in my DMs tell me it's going to be. And I'm not saying it's not. Because like I said, I'm big on Ridgeway. I'm big on Trey. I'm big on the two Mizzou guys. And Ridgeway, who's not a Mizzou guy, sorry. But who's coming from FCS. I think Ridgeway could develop into something special. I think he has technically 2 years. I think. I could be wrong on that. Someone will correct me in chat. But I think he could be the real deal. I like what I'm hearing out of fall camp. But you got to remember, too, there's something else to consider. This is all just speculation. It's fun, right? We're doing our picks. The media, we really don't know much because the media only got 25 minutes of every practice. So, look, I'm at fault if I'm wrong. Maybe I drank too much of the Kool-Aid. But I'm telling you, they're going to be better up front on the defensive line. If Grant Morgan and Bumper Pool are healthy, you still got a Henry brother back there at linebacker who, he's not an all-conference guy, but he's someone who you could rely on at times last year when other guys were getting banged up. You've got him back. Behind them, there's a lot of questions about linebacker. Secondary, you can't tell me. You've got what's going on with the secondary with Brooks, Slusher, Catalon, Mo Brown, Ladarius Bishop taking over Hudson Clark at the DB2 spot. Oh, and let's not forget, he's probably one of the fastest players on the team. Punt return, kick return, I don't really know what's happening there. I've heard rumors, Slusher, Brooks, Perotti. There was somebody else who was fielding punt returns. Maybe it was Ladarius Bishop. Maybe he was kick return. They've got some options there. I hope they keep Devion Warren on the sidelines for that. I want a healthy Devion Warren. We're kind of going all over the place now, though. I agree, Wingate's though, about the defensive line. You couldn't you couldn't be. I agree. Paul Raymond says I'm feeling 7-5, 8-4 because this team works. All right, guys, do me a favor. Check out the Patreon. We're not done yet. We've still got a little bit. We've got 5-10 minutes left. Check out Patreon if you want to join it. Hey, it helps. Look, it helps keep these studio lights on in here. It allows me to do this 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Oh, and the best thing, I'm doing my Trump hands here. The best thing, okay? It's going to be those post-game shows on Saturday. And let's not forget basketball when November comes. We're going to be doing post-games. It's all still happening. So, hey, let's keep doing this. Okay? I could do Joe Biden, but I'd have to fall asleep. So, yeah, check out the Patreon. Links provided for you down below. Hit the like button if you haven't already, right? Subscribe, tell a friend. Copy and paste, send this to your boys. Hey, this guy, PTN, I'm loving it. This guy's killing it. If this team goes 8-4 or better in 2021, they will lose a lot of stars for 2022, and you're probably right about that. I agree, because you're going to have guys. Catalon, he's draft eligible. Bumper Pool can return, as I understand it. He can come back. Bumper Pool can come back. But if you go 8-4, you got to imagine he's a big part of that. Does he test the waters of the pros? Now, obviously, your super seniors, all 11 of them will not be back next year. I don't think there's any, I don't think there's anything that will allow them to. Scroll down. Oh, Mr. T-Dub with the $20 super chat. My goodness. Out of the blue, Kendall Briles gets a top-tier G5 head coaching job. Frost gets fired. I see where you're going with this. Frost becomes ROC. I would be happy with that. Arkansas, the new coaching rehab clinic. Hey, it's worked out pretty well at some other schools, hasn't it? Think about that. Yes, 8-5 this year. Well, okay. So do you think they win or lose their bowl game? Is that what you're saying, T-Dub? Unless the wheels come off. Yeah, if the wheels come off, if you've got a swinging door situation at quarterback, that's a problem. That's going to be an issue, right? Mark Douglas says, you misread mine, 180 degrees off what I posted earlier. Mark, again, man, I'm sorry, dude, okay? I'm trying to keep up with chat. I've got super chat. I've got other stuff I'm eyeing off screen. My bad. I made a mistake. I apologize. My God, I even came to your defense, Mark. Like, good Lord. It's going to be okay, I promise. John Hawes, that pass rush has been abysmal. My daughter could stand in the pocket all day long with our pass rush. I agree, John. It's been embarrassing. It's got to get better. There's no doubt it's got to get better. Loggins, former OC in the NFL. Yeah, and look, I hear that, but I don't know, man. I don't know about that move, if that's the move. I really don't. Mr. T-Dub again, 80 likes, 80 watching, 7. I'm seeing like almost 50 likes now. I think we're doing good there. We're doing pretty good. Woo Pig Suey Ty, who do you think will replace Mike Woods as receiver number 2? All right, that's the final 5 or 6 minutes here. I'm going to answer your questions. And that's actually what I was about to say. So I'll answer Blake's first. I would like to see, if these guys could stay healthy, I'd love to see Knox take that spot over. I don't think it happens. I could be wrong. But It could absolutely be the case. He's got it in him. We saw what he did his freshman year. Imagine wherever they want to line Burks up, whether it's in the slot or if they line him up outside. I would like to see Knox on the field of the three, because you're going to have three receivers on the field most of the time. Depending on the matchups, you're going to have three receivers on the field. I would love to have 6'3", possible probably first round draft pick Treylon Burks. On the other side, 6'5", can go up and nab those 50-50 balls, Trey Knox. With Devion Warren, maybe it's slot. Of course, they'll probably move Burks in and play slot as well. You can line Burks up anywhere, and he's a mismatch. I swear to God. You can move him to tight end. He's a mismatch. You can move him to left tackle. He's a mismatch. I swear. Of course, he's not an eligible receiver at that point, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, and no, he couldn't play left tackle, for those of you who are going to come after me for that one. But I would like to see Knox be that guy. It's a hard question, because Devion Warren, who's coming off, look, I don't even know if he's got his boot off yet. I think he's still got, or the knee brace. I don't know if he's got that off yet. It could be the freshman receiver. It very well could be Ketron Jackson, who really pushed himself into the three deep, and then eventually when they started resting Burks and some of the other guys, we started to see him rotate in with the ones and twos. I don't care, injuries or not, with the guys above him. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot for a true freshman. Okay, you think about TQ Jackson, Shamar Nash. You go back to all those big-time receivers who could not. They couldn't even make the four deep, or they would struggle making the three deep. You have Ketron Jackson, highly rated 4-star receiver, big frame, 6'2.5", 6'3" frame, pretty good hands. I'm not saying he's Treylon Burks. He's got a good skill set. Could come up and be the guy, but it may not happen till halfway or at the end of the season, or hell, who knows? Week one, if Burks, we know Burks was was kind of limited there late fall camp, and I think they were kind of reserving Devion Warren a little bit too. He may miss some time, and this guy's going to get called up. Ketron get called up. I'm really big on him. I was really big on him, Raheem Sanders, and A.J. Green. Of course, A.J. Green, who's been a little dinged up. He wasn't here during spring camp. He was doing track back in Oklahoma. Raheem was here during the spring, even though banged up. Look at how much that's paid off for Raheem Sanders. I told you guys. I said it here. I was talking to my dad, Arky56, who I'm sure is in chat, but once again, he forgot his damn login information, so he's unable to chat. But Dad, I know you're probably getting ready for work. But in case you come back and watch this, like I told you, not being here in the spring for A.J. Green really held him back. Raheem Sanders was here. We're talking about him on the heels of Treylon Smith, and may end up taking over the total amount of carries by the end of the year, right? But Treylon Smith is, Treylon Smith is, I think the world of Treylon. I think Treylon's going to be great. John David is going to dominate that slot position. John David looked pretty damn good. I don't know about y'all. He looked good in spring camp, and I heard he did pretty well in fall camp. Warren Thompson says Win Gates. Yep, that's the Florida State kid, another big-bodied receiver. There's a host of guys, and that's what's great. You have, I don't want to say a plethora of talent, but look, what's the one thing I harp on the most? Quality depth, and you have it at wide receiver. Questions, I still have questions about tight end. I still have questions about the defensive line. I have questions about the linebacker depth. I feel like if you lose either Morgan or Bumper Pool, God forbid, both of them, your defense is on its heels. That's going to be a little problematic. Now your defensive line, now all the pressure's on your defensive line, right? Rocket Sanders could be thunder to Treylon Smith's lightning. Change of pace back. Exactly. I agree. Flying blind, I've heard Warren Thompson is going to be a stud. I think he was battling injuries during fall camp. Once he got healthy, they started to see him come around. And I like his skill set. Reminds me a little bit of Brandon Martin, that number 2 receiver out of the JUCO ranks we picked up several years back. Trying to scroll up here, see if I missed anything. I know we're coming up on that hour. Jacob Botwinick. Hey, Ty, I'm going to Fayetteville for the game this weekend. What do you think that crowd will be like? I don't know. Because I think it's supposed to be pretty hot. It's Rice. Although all of us here, you guys in chat, me, obviously, people who are going to come back and watch this later are really big on the Hogs, right? I'm sure if you guys had the opportunity, you would go to the game. But the overall feel of Razorback football, I don't think it's still quite like what it was, let's say, during the better years of Nutt or the Petrino era, or even a couple of years under Bielema. I don't know that we've reached that yet, so it kind of makes you wonder what they do for Rice. Texas, it's going to be a different story. I think Texas people are going to show up, especially the OGs, the OG Hog fans. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Oh, my goodness, show number 1 for the Daily Show on the PTN. It's in the books. I know we managed to piss off somebody in chat. I'm not shocked by that. And I'm sure I'm going to have a couple of angry DMs today as well. But, yeah, there was some more stuff we're going to talk about. I was going to mention Pro Hogs. If you guys didn't catch it, Alex Collins, did you see what he did? 10 carries, 37 yards, 1 touchdown, plus 7 catches for 52 yards. It's preseason, I know, but hey, he's trying to work his way up the depth chart. Brandon Allen for Cincinnati, 5 of 9, 87 yards. Did you see that Google pinpoint throw he had? It was a beautiful throw. All that Brandon Allen hate, and here he is still chugging along in the NFL. I don't care if he's a backup. You know how hard it is to make a 52-man roster in the NFL? You know how hard it is to be a backup in the NFL and not get pushed to practice squad or just get completely cut? Congrats to him. I hope he has I hope he keeps going for years to come. I'm proud of Brandon Allen. He's done a really good job of keeping himself at that level. To be a backup quarterback in the NFL, it's not easy, so good for him. Congrats. ATN fans are really high on Felipe. I didn't get his numbers, but I heard he didn't have a great game. Collins broke some ankles. I saw that. Trey Williams will lead the team in sacks, hopefully at least 10. He leads all current Razorbacks combined, if I read that correctly last week, with seven or 8 career sacks. Think about that. That's where the skepticism comes from me. I want to see, but hey, I think they're going to be better. So we didn't know what we had in BA. I'm telling you, that final year he had here was incredible. Almost drafted. Yeah, I did my draft last night for my paid league. And I feel pretty good. All right, Hog fans, I will see you guys on Wednesday, same time, same place. Woo Pig Suey. Go Hogs.